Yes.
Cool. Shall I do it bigger?
It's fine for me. I don't know.
So yeah, if it's fine, like that. So let's start then, guys. Yeah, if some problems with connection will appear, let me know in Telegram if I will not understand it by myself. So, customer development. So I think that you already know a lot about that, but for those who don't know, so we will go quickly through this topic. If we look at all researches and studies about reasons of fail of startups, so in most cases you will find that so the startup did not find market need product market fit as we know as it's called. So and also there are reasons like no enough money, so the team was not good enough. But from my experience and from studies that I found, so market need to launch a product which is not really needed by market. So it's one of, in most cases, it's the top reason of startup fail. So how to avoid this? It's very, I would say, simple tool, but unfortunately, most of startups, they skip this stage. So we have Eric Ries with his lean startup concept and methodology, and so one of the part of this concept is customer development. So as we see, is a client-oriented approach to business creation. If you remember yesterday presentations, especially the last one, and I think that so all of them, yeah. So if you exclude investment strategy, so all these successful startups, they mentioned that they discussed with their client their need, how to fulfill it, and so on and so on. So, and this is the simple way, the closest step to succeed with your project. Because unless you speak with your potential customers, unless you go to the market to discuss problems, needs, and values of the market of your target segment, so it's your hallucinations. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. So it's just some ideas in your head, in the head of your team, and it can be not connected to the reality. So, and the only way to understand the reality is to go to the market, to go to a client and just speak with them, talk to them, ask them so about their life, about their current experience and current pains, and how do they solve it. So if we look at it from the general theory, so there are several stages of development of the startup, and so most of projects, as I mentioned before, that they try to go directly to the product market fit already with MVP, already creating a great product, great solution, and so on. And with this MVP, they invest money into marketing campaigns, and so in several months they realized that so something doesn't work. Why doesn't it doesn't work? Just so very simple answer, because they try, I would say, to swim in the ocean without understanding where is an island, where is a land. So of course you can swim sometime there, but so in one moment all your all your resources, all your power and understanding of the reality will disappear, so and you will go down. So the same appear with startups. So if you start not from the very beginning but from the middle, with MVP already going to the market, most probably you will fail. Of course, there are cheap tools when you can already create some MVP. I would say like that. If you can create an MVP during, I don't know, 1, maximum 2 weeks, okay, so you can go and try test the market with this. But if your MVP take 1 month and more, so it doesn't make sense. Make step back and to go to the stage of problem solution fit. So on this stage, what we can do is to create to create an understanding of our future solution, and the most crucial thing is to understand what is the current problem of our customer. And on this stage, we actually can understand if it makes sense to deal with the problem and to make business out of this. So, and to go through the stages, all 3, I would say. So we usually use an HADI cycle. So it's a standard approach when it comes to science. So they usually use it, and so that's how it appears in the startup topic. Yeah, just a second, I will try to switch on camera. So in the startup topic, and so the idea is very simple, that we don't have a strict plan step by step, and so we meet at the very beginning, and then we meet at the end to see the result. No, it's not like that. So the modern approach, HADIT cycles, means that, okay, we have an idea of the result at the end, and we need to understand on each step if this step allow us to approach to the success or not. So first, so usually you split your path to success on iterations, usually during 1 week. So it's usually the most common approach, I would say. So what's going on in when we use HADI cycle? So we create an idea and hypothesis about what should be a result of our iteration at in a week, for instance. Then, of course, we have to make some actions and then collect data. And what is the most important, what is most crucial here is to analyze what's going on and to create new ideas about where to go. I think that with most of you, we already had an interview, and I shared with you this traction map. It usually help to plan your tasks and tasks for your team for the next week, and to analyze what's going on, to analyze the results, and it helps to manage the project, to manage the team actually. So I can tell you that so I'm working now with one of the, I would say, biggest corporation on Russian market, and so they use also such approach with weekly iterations, with HADI cycles, and they use it for project management. So that's why, yeah, I would say it's very interesting and efficient instrument. And if you will need to this traction map, please ask me after the session. So do you have any questions on the previous part, or we can go forward?
We can move on.
Okay, so if you're talking about this stage, I don't know if you can see my mouth. So if we are talking about problem solution fit, so there are two types of interview. So first type is problem interview, the second type is solution interview. So during problem interview, we try, as I mentioned before, to understand what are our customer problems. If it's really a big problem, and so how much does it hurt? And the one of the crucial thing is to understand how much does this cost for the client. So not, I would say here what's important to add, and so usually startup can forget that. So at the end of the day, the main goal for you is also to understand your customer profile, not only to identify the problem, but preliminary to create questions to understand to which segment of people these problems are relevant. Because otherwise, if you were lucky enough to make interviews with 20 people and all them confirmed the problem exists and it hurts and they are ready to pay for it, and you don't understand their age, their, I don't know, family profile, and so on. So it's hard for you then to organize a marketing campaign and to find product market fit on the second stage. So here during problem interview also was important, and so I will add this point for the next presentation, so to understand your customer profile. So what about solution interview? Usually we do it when we understand, okay, so we have understanding of needs and values of the customer. So we already ready to create an MVP. So, and this already on the early stage of creating your MVP, when you have something to show to the potential customer, so it makes sense to go to this customer and to make a solution interview. The main goal here is again to confirm that the problem exists. But it's a small goal. The big goal is to understand, okay, so we have this solution. Is it relevant for this problem? Is it relevant for you as a client? So what is the feedback? What should we add? What should we move there from there? And so are you ready to pay for that? So these are main key questions here on this solution interview. And it's better to make this such kind of interview with early adopters. If you remember yesterday session about Lean Canvas, I asked you to understand who might be the early adopters. So of course, when you have a very early stage MVP, so only early adopters can provide you a really valuable feedback and not to offer you to go to the hell. So yeah, two types of interview goes to this stage of problem and solution fit. Just a second. Yeah. So how to today we are going to focus on problem interview, because as I mentioned before, most of startups usually skip this this stage. So, but it's very, very important for a lot of your next steps to success. So how to deal with that? First of all, we have to formulate an idea about so what we are going to test. Of course, when you have an idea of your own startup, you have in mind the illusion of existing problem. Okay, so we can use it to start from, and so we formulate this as a hypothesis that we have to prove, or so we have to confirm or not confirm during the interview. So here, so there are some points which might be valuable while you try to formulate this idea. So we have to understand in average what could be a customer profile, because so otherwise, as I mentioned, you swim in the ocean. So okay, you understand the customer profile, you understand what should be your early adopters criteria, I would say, to understand who might be such kind of people. So what problems the client might have on this topic. So it's our idea, what we think can be valuable to this client. So it's of course about value. So it goes from one side. When we understand their pain, it helps us to formulate the value of the client. But in the meantime, it's also important for us to understand the value, let's say in general, for such type of client. I will explain. For example, I don't know, we have, I don't know, we have any kind of startup, and we identify the customer profile. And so if for instance during the interview we understand that for this specific customer segment, it's important the green topic, to take care about environment and so on, and give us a valuable point that we can leverage during our marketing campaign, for instance, when we pack our solution, our product. So when we understand that the value of our customer segment is taking care about environment, of course we use it and show on our website and within our product that so we are connected to this topic, we share your value, and we are on the same page with you. So it can not be connected in a straight way with our solution, but if it's important and if we know that it's important for our customer segment, so it's our, let's say, unfair advantage and our USP, and so the chance to win the competition when so our customer segment compare us with our competitors. So after you formulate these ideas about customer profile, their problems, their values, so we goes to structuring questions. And what's also important here is, and I will touch it later on, is to formulate also qualifying questions. What does it mean? It means that okay, we, for instance, we find a person, I don't know, a woman, 25, 30 years old, and this lady, she likes an active, I don't know, active lifestyle. And we think that, so it's our customer segment. But for instance, we have a startup, I don't know, about traveling, just like an idea. And so what can be important for us if any of this customer segment is relevant to us? I don't know. So, and what can be, and during using these qualifying questions, we try to understand if this is a relevant person for us. So about this topic, qualifying questions can be, okay, do you like to travel? How often are you traveling usually during last year? So if this lady, she likes active lifestyle, but she doesn't travel, that means that she doesn't fit to our target audience. So it doesn't, and it means that it doesn't make sense to spend her and yours time on the interview. So that means what means qualifying question. Any questions, guys? Any qualifying questions? I hope that Stas liked my example. Cool. So we are going to the classic interview structure, no rocket science here. So what's important I hope that you already read this book, Mom's Test. So, and you already know all these things and classic approach and so on. But nevertheless, we will touch it quickly. What's important here, and so during my practice, what I face is don't forget to put your customer before into the context. So because even if you sent an email and if the person already agreed on the interview, so maybe it was not clear, maybe so he expected some clarification. So first of all, first step, thank you so much that you found some time to have an interview with me. My name is this. So I'm CEO of this startup. So we appreciate your support, that you are our existing customer, for instance. And Mom's Test, what is the name of the book? Yeah, it calls Mom's Test, I think, yeah, in English, because I read it in Russian. So, and it was, yeah, Mom Test. Thank you. So, yeah, so we appreciate your support. So what we would like to know is, so we are doing research about, I don't know, traveling preferences of our customer audience. So that's why we invited you for the interview. Please book 30 minutes for discussion with us. Okay, so we already have this book in the chat. So guys, if someone did not read it before, so please use the chance. So it's important because at the end of the day, if you're talking about interview, it's about personal and emotional connection. So this is one of the main value of the interview also, because when you do, I don't know, a questionnaire on Google or so launch it on Facebook, you don't, so you offer usually close question or limited open questions to customers, and so it will not show you the real picture. And so when you have an emotional connection with your customer during the interview, this person will open the soul and share their internal pain, and so real pain and real value. So that's why to make this connection, so it's very important to put your customer in the context. So the second point, as I mentioned, is qualification to understand if this person is really representative for our target audience. Then so you can tell a bit about so the structure, so timing, and let's say what kind of the process you are studying, and so then to go deeply into pains, into various. So what is important at the end is to thank the person, and to ask, okay, so what didn't I ask you, and maybe you wanted that I have to ask. So it happens, and it gives you a lot of insights about the topic, because you can't know everything, and maybe there are some hidden stories or hidden information that the person expected that you asked and you didn't. So it's a chance to create a second chance to get this information. And the finalizing question is, okay, with whom you could advise me to speak else? So that helps you to find other qualified people for the interview without any investments of the time from your side. So that's why I strongly recommend you in all interviews to put these 2 questions and at the end of the interview. Okay, so yeah, what's important here? Just quickly go through it. I understand that when you start. That when you start to make this interviews, so it hurts. So when you start, so it can happen that so you're afraid, you know. So all these psychological blockers, but do not allow you or your co-founders to skip this personal or Skype call interviews, because emails or SMS or I don't know, Google questionnaires or whatever, it doesn't work. It doesn't bring you the same value that can bring you the conversation. Because at the end of the day, when we have this structure of our questions for the interview, for us, it's like, you know, it's like a direction. It's like points not to forget to ask something. But at the end of the day, what happens during the interview is that yeah, just a second, is that you get some information from the client, and you have a chance to dig into this information and to get more insights, more information, so on and so on. So that's why, guys, please do not hesitate these personal interviews with your client. At first interviews, so it will take maybe 1 hour plus minus, again based on my experience and the experience of startups which I supported with that. But at the end of the day, you basically, so it can take from 20 to 40 minutes, and it's okay. So in average, when you schedule an interview, ask for 30 minutes. But at the very beginning, yes, it's better to already tell that, so it can take more. So what's important here when you prepare your interviews, so is okay, there are some golden rules. It usually, so it took from Mom Test book. But no, nevertheless, so I will repeat it. It's important, of course, to choose the right person, and it's totally okay to save your and the person's time, and if the person is not relevant, just to thank him and to finish the call. Of course, it makes sense to ask maybe for another connection from this person, but don't spend a lot of time on not relevant interviews. So as I mentioned, you need to find early adopters. So these people will help you to get more valuable insights and more valuable feedback on what's going on there. So, and with this person, actually, you can get the fastest traction and test your idea in the most efficient way. So what else? It's important to now share the information about your product during the interview, because so usually, basically, people like to support each other. So, and when they see an initiative, young people trying to change the world, of course, they will try to support this this action. So that's why when you start your interview, when the potential customer with the boss, okay, so we are trying to change the world in such way, so we have such a great product. I would like to ask you about how you are living right now. So and start asking question. Of course, your customer already have in mind this some kind of filter, and so in any case they already try to formulate the answers using this filter to help you to find a confirmation of the idea. So that's why don't share the information about the product. Otherwise, so the information that you got from the client will not be relevant. Talk about with the respondents about their lives. What's important for you to understand how they are living right now, what kind of problems they have, and the most important thing, how do they solve it. As we talked yesterday, it gives you some ideas about your hidden competitors. And so how much does that they spend on solving this problem? So in they spend €1 per year, $1 per year on solving this problem, most probably it's not a big problem for them, and most probably they will not buy your solution when it will be ready. If they spend a lot of money, and you understand that for your country, for your market, it's a lot, and you will offer them a solution for so cheap solution to solve in the most effective way their pain, of course, so they will go there, and so they will be your thankful clients. So that's why talk about their lives, about their current situation. And usually people like it. They like when someone interests about their personality. It's psychological fact. But of course, before that, you have to create some emotional connection and to show that you're an open person, so that you're really interested in their lives. So focus on what happened in the past. Don't talk about the future, about any theory, about their feedback on your solution, and focus on facts. The important thing for you is from the stories that they are going to tell you to get real facts which confirm you that the idea that the pain exists, that your project really needed. So usually what's important to understand is, so how many interviews to make. Basically up to 20 is enough for B2C market. In B2B, so it can be less. Inside corporates, for instance, with corporate innovations, they usually make 5-7 interviews. But what's important here is, again, to confirm the problem. And when you already preliminary, you can imagine so what can answer you, the customer, the respondent. So that means, okay, you already know the market. It makes sense to make a pause to analyze what is the current situation. So if you understand, if you can preliminarily imagine what your respondent answer you on the 10th interview, so okay, you don't need to make 20. But if up to the 20th interview you still don't understand what are common patterns, what are insights, and what so if the problematic is the same for each customer, that means from one side maybe that you did not identify correctly the customer segment. The second thing that so you have to maybe focus on the qualifying question, and then of course to continue the interview. So bad questions, as I mentioned, again, so it was taken from the book. What do you think about our idea? Do you like our product? Will you use our solution, etc.? So it's more related to solution interview, but again, to use these questions carefully on that. So the next stage. But for the problem interview, this kind of question doesn't work. So what means good questions? What means good questions? So what have you already tried to do with this pain? Describe the situation when you make it last time, please. So what's important here? The key questions here is when it happened last time. It usually helps you to focus the respondent on the real situation, not on the imagination. And the second key question is, okay, please describe this last situation. So usually these questions helps to focus on real facts and helps you to get real stories out of that, not just their opinion. So these kind of questions you can. What's important here? I don't know. I think that couple hundreds of interview I already passed and helped startups with that. What's important here is on each question to understand what value you can get from the question. This is first thing. So when you ask some question, try to understand, okay, will it be valuable for you or not? Because you spend your time, you spend the time of the respondent, so it doesn't make sense for useless questions. The other point is that you don't have a task to ask all questions from your list. Your task, your goal is to reach your goal and to get the information about, again, their pain, their value, how much does it cost for them. So it's really a big problem and how do they solve it right now. So these questions you have, these goals you have to keep in mind and not focus on just asking all questions during given time. So this is some things about how to check yourself if you make a correct interview. Of course, mostly you will get mostly you will understand, of course, so if you make correctly or not the interview after the first interview. So what's important here is that you have a right to correct your questions. If you understand that during the interview that the question is not relevant, okay, after the interview, analyze maybe to exclude this question or to reformulate it somehow, or maybe so it's a valuable question, but you didn't understand how to ask it. So this comes to Hardy cycle that we discussed before that. So, and using this approach, from the interview to interview, we have to adjust our questions, adjust our interview. And it's totally okay that first interviews was not good. So that's why it's important for you to make these first interviews with, if you do it with already existing clients, not to do it with the most valuable clients, not to fuck up here, and not to lost your client. So when you hear stories, you got some insights. When you get facts from these interviews, so that means that you are on the right way, and you have to keep going unless you start here and saying answers. Because at the end of the day, so what's important for us is to understand the standard algorithm of the standard behavior of our customers. That will help us to include our business, our solution to their life, so naturally. So it's the most, fast way to success. So what's important else is to avoid some things like you hear a lot of compliments. It means that you somehow focus your customer on your solution, and that means that the person just try to support you. So that means that okay, you have to come back somehow to the main road of your questions, and to focus your customer, your respondent on their life, on their story. And so what also can happen that they try to offer some solutions to you on their pain. Okay, this one story, they can start some solutions, some I don't know, features to your solution. That's also not a good story. That means that again they have another focus, and that give us not relevant results at the end of the interview. So what can help you is to use 5 why approach. So that help you to go deeply to the problematic. So as you can see on the example on the screen, so if we stop our interview on the first why, when our car doesn't work, so okay, the battery is dead. So why the car doesn't work? The battery is dead. So that we can make a conclusion, so that we have to start a e-shop of batteries for cars. So if we go deeper, we'll understand that the problem is wider, and it makes sense to launch a service for technical inspection, for technical support of a car. So it's another story, it's not a business. So that's why it's important to go deeply and to understand what is the real pain behind that. And in most cases, there are several levels. And when you make it to remember that so you may most probably see this person during the first time, and most probably so you have to dig into this next levels, because this person will not show you from the very beginning so the main important pain that the person has behind this problem. So interview is always a conversation with the client, and try to keep it in mind that it should be a conversation. So that's why don't use questions like don't use closed questions. Use open questions. Try to organize it as a conversation. What's important here is to use your partner on the interview, and to ask him to write down all answers to your interview, because it's really hard to keep the live conversation while you try to write down the answer of the respondent. It's really hard, and most probably you will forget something, you will miss some important things. So that's why I advise again to invite the partner to the interview, to ask him to write down, and at the same time to make your own notes. It will help you after all to add some valuable information to your partner's notes, and not to miss important things, important points.
Evgheny, sorry, but we can record the interview and listen it afterwards and write down the answers.
Yes, you can. And this is another recommendation that it makes sense to make these records. From the other side, what happened? When if you make a record and don't have these notes in front of you, you don't have. So usually, I think I will share later on. But usually these guys I shared previously. So usually you use I use Excel file where where I put questions in one column and answers one by one of each of respondent, and then you have the whole table to compare each answers, to highlight insights, to understand if there are common answers, common problems. So this tool helps you to make an analysis. If you have just a record, you don't have this, opportunity to compare all this, because you have 40 minutes of one interview, 40 minutes another, and so on. Another point is that so you have to spend on one interview at least 2 hours. So first to record, then to listen again, to write down things. It's a valuable exercise, but again, if you're talking about startups when timing is one of the value, so maybe it doesn't make sense to spend twice more time than you can spend. And the third point here is our brain is functioning in such way that it focuses on things which the brain consider as important. That means that I have my own picture of the reality, and the other person has another vision of the reality. So, of course, we are working in one project, but but again, we see the same thing from other angles, and it's really valuable then to add our picture of the reality in some common file. That's why when your partner write down their notes, you write down in a very high level key information your notes. Then you add it to each other. You have more, you have more developed picture of the reality. You will not miss that your partner missed, and he will not miss that you missed, most probably because you had another focus on you from your brain. Did I answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Super. So, yeah, what's important is to be prepared to the interview. So to have your own questions, to understand your customer profile, preliminary to have your qualifying questions. Usually you can, so 10 questions can be enough. In some cases, I met 20 questions. In some cases, it was 7. So more or less, in average, so 10 is more or less okay. Yeah, what should happen as a result? So here, if you can see, I hope, if not, I will make it a bit bigger. Yeah, so in the left side of this slide, you can see this Excel file that I usually use. So here, questions of the problem interview in the left column. Then I put down answers of the person. So not rocket science, but it helped to structure the information. What's important for you then, as a result, to make customer profile? So we have to understand who are our potential customer, what are their value, what are their, let's say, user experience and customer behavior. So what are their pains? So where they work, where they relax, in the best way, yes, if you can get this information from the interview. So that helped us to understand, not in theory, but in reality, for whom we are doing this, our own startup. It's very important not to do it for ourselves, because otherwise it will be hobby, not a business, but to do it for the market, for people, for real people from the market. There is no any strict recommendation on how to do this customer profile. Maybe guys graduated from Accelerator can share their knowledge if they had from there. I would say here you have to formulate what should be available for you for further steps, for marketing campaign, for usability, for unique selling points. So actually to make the business efficiently. Okay, so theoretical part already done. Do you have any questions on a previous part? Guys, can you hear me?
Well, it's clear. Mostly it's clear. It's of a point.
Okay, so it's clear. Great. Can I ask if somebody already done problem interviews before or currently is doing it?
Okay.
Share your insights about that.
Yeah,
I know that's
try. I can try. So
Sure.
we made special scripts, and by them we have asking, for example, first 5 potential customers. After that, we were thinking about insights and make changes to our script to make them better. We can reach and get more and more information necessary for us to develop our product, and by this way finally, for example, reached around to 30 potential customers. And what was interesting, from 30, 2 of them at one point was agreed to not to really sign a contract, but we get that point that they were really interested in what we do further.
Mm-hmm.
This was our approach. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, again, guys, I understand that there is, when you have a call interview with potential customer, you would like to sell them your product. I would say you can, so it's not recommended. It's not totally recommended during the interview. And I believe that it will be more valuable when after the interview. So after doing the interview, when you analyze all questions and you start an MVP, you can come back in 2-3 weeks to this potential customer and tell them, okay, so we had your insights about the problem, we got a solution, so please give us a feedback. And it also creates an emotional, connection, because the person see that, so you hear him or her, and you listen, and you react on that. So it can be early adopters and very trustable customer.
Evgeny, I can share a little bit of this experience.
Sure, please.
So our product, like Mask, is based on this kind of interviews. So first, what we've done with Trajan, we go out in the field, really, and have direct contact with people, and ask them for first what pain they have during using these normal masks. And having all these conversations with the people, we understand that some of them, they are okay with the mask that they're wearing, and some of them all the time have the troubles, like I told, this sweating of the skin, itches, acne, difficult breathing, and also this emotional contact. And girls have this mess up with the makeup. So based on the answers, we understand what we should make. We made our first product, and we go to the people that are in the tech world and ask them about this product. Now the next step was interview about solution. So first was interview about pain, and next one was interview about solution. And also we got some, let's say, insights about the solution. And we have done the first sales, let's say, in the same time. So it's like it was like a confirmation of the pain and confirmation of the solution, and have that clients.
Okay. And okay. So you connected, yes, this problem interview and solution interview.
Let's say yes, we connected through the product.
Okay, but this solution interview you done after the problem interview, yes?
Yeah, of course. The solution was based on the problem interview.
Okay, super, thank you. So anybody else?
Yeah.
What?
So it would be good if we made a first interview, like a problem interview, and really ask about their pains and know what they truly want. Yeah, and then we can propose them after some time the solution we have, even though we have the solution from the first time, because we already made the studied their problems and pains. But even if we go to a new customer, like, should we like build a new connection with them and really getting a problem interview with them?
So am I right that your question is with a new customer, and does it make sense to already make a solution interview, or what is the question? Sorry, I missed.
Like, we already like made a product, yeah, and know what their pains are, but we know these pains not from this customer, but from other customers. Like, if you understand what I want to say. When you get a new customer, should you ask for them pains, like?
Yeah, of course. So if you already have a solution and you didn't previously do a problem interview, and so it's important for you to understand the real pain and value behind, even though you already have an MVP or some solution. Why it makes sense to make a step back. There is, I met startups when they already have some sales, but they don't really understand why client pay for the product. So they don't understand it because they have not, manageable sales, so they can't manage it. So they don't know these key points, on what actually the client react when they buy the product. So, and to do this, why they don't understand? Because they don't know what is the value, what is the pain behind, why actually their solution are hired to make some job. So, if I understand you correctly, the answer is yes, it makes sense to make a problem interview, even if you already have a solution. If you already have some paying customers, that's even better. That's great. I would say it's your early adopters, it's loyal customers, and so yes, use this chance, make an interview with them with the question: Again, with some customer, but even though if we want to introduce our product for a new customer, should we repeat the process with everybody like? Again, you mean new customer, new segment? If it's new segment, yes, you have to explore this new segment also through problem interview. If we are talking about new customers in general, again, the goal here is to understand your customer. So if you understand the pain and value, and you create marketing campaign, it shows you results, and you are satisfied by these results, okay, this exercise is done successfully, you can go to the other one and invest in expansion in new sales channels and so on. If you don't understand your customer yet, and so your marketing campaigns don't touch their pains and their value, so it makes sense to make another interview with another customers, unless you understand it. So did I answer to your question? Okay, if not, just send me an email. Okay, I know that Stas done some interviews. Do you have some insights about your experience you would like to share or not? If not, I'm not pushing, I'm just asking.
Yes, I've done a lot of interviews, and this is an interesting experience, but it's not easy. So I don't know what to say. Like I have only the problem that after the interview I have to summarize all the knowledge, all the information, and to make this how to say, portrait, or like, yeah. And this is, it's not, for me, it's not easy, and all the time I'm like struggling with this. But I've done interviews for a lot of times, but they were like not the right way I've done this, and that's why my last 10 interviews, I think, they were almost better and better. And so I recommend to everybody to not to stop.
Okay, thank you, Stas. Okay, guys, we will have a 1 hour practice at 1 p.m. So yeah, and then so we'll split into the groups and then try to make some interviews. You will have some time before that. You will have a lunch time before the practice. I'd like to offer you to spend this time on first point on LinkedIn if you didn't do it yet. Second point is you can prepare your questions about your project, so that to make this this practice useful. Otherwise, I will offer you some standard case that you can go through, but I think it'll be more valuable if you try to test your own questions about your own project. So yeah, this is it. I think we have less than 10 minutes before the next session. For my side, I'm done. So let's make a short pause. I think, if Mary don't mind. And Mary is not here. Waiting is here. Okay, guys. So let's make a short pause. Please be here in 5 minutes. So 2 minutes before 11. And so we will start so that we will be ready for the session. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. See you in at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
Me,
thank you.
But with Trajan in 5 minutes. Okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.